Ever heard of a guy conquering most of the known world before turning 30? Well, let me introduce you to one of history's most fascinating figures. That's Alexander the Great for you, a name that echoes through the corridors of time. Born in 356 BC, this Macedonian king was no ordinary ruler. From the very beginning, his destiny seemed extraordinary. He was a legend, a whirlwind of ambition and conquest, leaving a trail of awe and wonder wherever he went. His story, a thrilling mix of fact and fiction, a true page-turner of history. Every chapter of his life reads like an epic saga. Alexander wasn't just born with a silver spoon, he had a whole silver cutlery set. His upbringing was nothing short of royal extravagance. His dad, King Philip II of Macedon, the guy who unified Greece, a formidable leader in his own right. But legend whispers a different tale, that Alexander's real dad was Zeus, the king of the gods. Imagine having divine blood running through your veins. Talk about an epic family drama, the stuff of legends and myths. At 12, young Alexander tamed a wild horse named Bucephalus, a feat that showcased his bravery and skill. This magnificent steed became his partner in conquest, a loyal companion through countless battles. Talk about a power duo. Together they were unstoppable. Not just brawn, Alexander had brains too. He was a voracious learner, always seeking knowledge. The philosopher Aristotle was his tutor, shaping his young mind with wisdom and philosophy. Little Alex wasn't just about books and horses. He was a well-rounded individual, balancing intellect and physical prowess. At 16 he led a cavalry charge, crushing the legendary sacred band of Thebes, a remarkable achievement for someone so young. This victory was a glimpse of the military genius he'd become. His strategic mind was unparalleled. The world was about to learn his name, Alexander the Great, a name that would be remembered for centuries. Imagine being a teenager and suddenly becoming king. That's what happened to Alexander when his father was assassinated. He was just 20 years old. But Alexander wasn't afraid. He quickly dealt with his enemies, securing his throne and proving he was a force to be reckoned with. Philip had a dream, conquering the mighty Persian Empire. Alexander inherited this dream and made it his own. He was ready to paint the world map Macedonian red. With his loyal army, he crossed the Hellespont into Asia Minor in 334 BC. The Persian Empire stood in his way, but Alexander wasn't fazed. He was bringing the storm. His first stop, the Granicus River. The Persians were waiting, confident in their numbers. Big mistake! Alexander's army smashed through them, claiming their first major victory. The legend of Alexander was being written in blood and glory. Word of Alexander's victories spread like wildfire. King Darius III of Persia, hearing tales of this young upstart, decided to crush him personally. The two armies clashed at Issus in 333 BC. It was a battle for the ages. Alexander, with his tactical genius, outmaneuvered the Persians. Darius III fled, leaving his family behind. Alexander, showing unexpected compassion, treated them with respect. Next on Alexander's hit list, the island city of Tyre. This heavily fortified city was considered impenetrable, but Alexander, never one to back down from a challenge, laid siege. It took 7 long months, but Tyre finally fell. Alexander's reputation as a relentless conqueror grew stronger. Then came the big one, the Battle of Gaugamela in 331 BC. Alexander faced Darius III once again, this time in a vast open plain. It was a clash of titans. Alexander, despite being outnumbered, led a daring cavalry charge, shattering the Persian lines. Darius fled again, this time for good. The Persian Empire, once invincible, lay at Alexander's feet. He was just getting started. With Persia conquered, Alexander headed south, his eyes on Egypt. The Egyptians, tired of Persian rule, welcomed him as a liberator. They declared him Pharaoh, the God King. Alexander, embracing the local customs, offered sacrifices to their gods. He even founded a city, Alexandria. It would become a center of learning and culture, a testament to his vision. But Alexander's story wasn't over yet. He chased the remnants of the Persian army across modern-day Iran and Afghanistan. He faced treacherous mountains, scorching deserts, and fierce warriors. His pursuit of Bessus, who had betrayed Darius and claimed the Persian throne, was relentless. In the end, Bessus was captured and executed. Alexander had avenged Darius and cemented his position as the ruler of Asia. However, victory came at a cost. Years of constant campaigning and the deaths of close friends took a toll. Alexander was changing. He became more isolated, more prone to fits of rage and paranoia. He even adopted Persian customs, much to the dismay of his Macedonian troops. Alexander's conquest of Persia wasn't just about military might. He was fascinated by their culture. He started wearing Persian clothes and even adopted some of their customs. Imagine the shock on his soldiers' faces when their king, the embodiment of Greek culture, started dressing like the enemy. He even introduced proskynesis, the Persian custom of bowing before the king. Many Macedonians saw this as sacrilege. They believed only gods deserved such reverence. This wasn't the Alexander they knew, the one who had fought alongside them, shared their hardships. This new Alexander was becoming distant, more like the Persian emperors he had defeated. His desire to blend cultures extended beyond clothing. He married Roxana, a Sogdian princess. It was a love match, some say, while others claim it was a strategic move to solidify his rule in the eastern parts of his empire. Whatever the reason, this marriage was a powerful symbol of Alexander's vision, a world where cultures intertwined. Section 6. Whispers of Discontent. The whispers started subtly, like the desert wind rustling through the tents. Alexander's adoption of Persian customs had sown seeds of discontent among his Macedonian troops. They had followed him to the ends of the earth, won impossible victories. Now they felt like strangers in their own king's court. The whispers grew louder, evolving into grumbles of discontent. The final straw came when Alexander demanded divine honors. His closest friend, Clitus the Black, dared to criticize him openly. A drunken argument ensued, ending with Alexander killing Clitus in a fit of rage. Even Alexander, in his grief and remorse, couldn't undo the deed. The king, who once seemed invincible, was now feared by his own men. Despite the growing tension, Alexander's thirst for conquest was far from quenched. He set his sights on India, a land shrouded in mystery and legend. His men, weary from years of campaigning, were reluctant, but Alexander, driven by ambition and the lure of the unknown, would not be deterred. Section 7. The Unconquerable East. India, a land of mighty rivers and dense jungles, awaited. This was a land that had resisted many invaders, a land where nature itself seemed to conspire against the ambitions of conquerors. Alexander's army marched eastward, their spirits dampened by exhaustion and the searing heat. The relentless sun beat down on them, sapping their strength and testing their resolve. They faced King Porus, a powerful ruler with a formidable army, including war elephants. These majestic beasts were unlike anything the Macedonians had encountered before. The Battle of the Hydaspes River in 326 BC was unlike any Alexander had fought before. The river's treacherous currents and the dense jungle added to the chaos of the battlefield. The elephants, towering behemoths, charged at the Macedonian lines. Their sheer size and power struck fear into the hearts of Alexander's men. The ground trembled beneath their weight. Each step of these colossal creatures sent shock waves through the battlefield. But Alexander, ever the strategist, adapted his tactics. He quickly devised a plan to counter the elephants' might. His troops targeted the elephants' vulnerable flanks, causing chaos in Porus's ranks. The once formidable beasts became a liability for the Indian army. Victory was hard fought, but Alexander prevailed. His tactical brilliance and the unwavering courage of his men turned the tide of the battle. He was impressed by Porus's courage and allowed him to keep his kingdom, albeit as a vassal. This act of respect earned Alexander the loyalty of many in the region. This victory, however, proved to be a turning point. The cost of the battle weighed heavily on Alexander's mind. The sight of the wounded, the exhaustion etched on his soldiers' faces, finally made Alexander relent. He realized the limits of his ambition. His men, pushed to their limits, yearned for home. The endless battles and the harsh conditions had taken their toll. With a heavy heart, Alexander agreed to turn back. The decision was not easy, but it was necessary for the well-being of his loyal troops. The unconquerable Alexander had finally been conquered, not by an enemy, but by the loyalty of his men and the vastness of his dreams. The journey back would be long, but it was a journey towards home. Section 8. The sun sets on a legend. The journey back from India was arduous, filled with trials and tribulations that tested the mettle of even the bravest soldiers. The once proud army trudged across deserts, their dreams of glory replaced by longing for home. Each step was a reminder of the battles fought and the comrades lost. Alexander, haunted by the ghosts of war and the what-ifs of the unconquered East, seemed to have lost his youthful exuberance. The weight of his conquests and the endless horizon of possibilities now seemed like a distant memory. Reaching Babylon in 323 BC, Alexander fell ill. The city, once a symbol of his triumph, now became the backdrop of his decline. Fever ravaged his body, his voice reduced to a whisper. The conqueror who once commanded armies now struggled to utter a single word. The once mighty conqueror lay helpless, his strength sapped by an unseen enemy. The man who had seemed invincible was now at the mercy of fate. His generals, loyal to the very end, kept vigil, hoping for a miraculous recovery. They whispered prayers and shared stories of past glories, clinging to hope, but it was not meant to be. The realization dawned slowly, like the setting sun, casting long shadows of sorrow. At the age of 32, Alexander breathed his last. His final breath marked the end of an era. The world stood still, stunned into silence by the sudden departure of a legend. The news spread like wildfire, leaving a trail of disbelief and mourning. The cause of his death remains a mystery. Scholars and historians have debated for centuries, each theory adding another layer to the enigma. Was it malaria, typhoid, poisoning, or simply the cumulative effect of years of relentless campaigning? Theories abound, but the truth eludes us. The truth, lost to the sands of time, only adds to the enigma of Alexander the Great. His life and death remain shrouded in mystery. His empire, vast and sprawling, was left without an heir. The throne, once a symbol of his power, now stood empty. His generals, vying for power, carved up the realm amongst themselves, marking the beginning of the Hellenistic age. The world he had united was now divided, each piece a testament to his legacy. Section 9. A legacy etched in time. Alexander's empire may have fragmented, but his legacy remained. He wasn't just a conqueror, he was a visionary, a bridge between East and West. He spread Greek culture, language, and philosophy throughout his empire. New cities like Alexandria in Egypt flourished, becoming centers of learning and trade. His conquests fostered cultural exchange. Greek art, architecture, and literature blended with Persian and Egyptian influences, creating a vibrant Hellenistic civilization. The world was forever changed. Alexander's story, a tapestry woven with threads of ambition, brilliance, and tragedy, continues to fascinate us. So, the next time someone asks you about a guy conquering most of the known world before 30, you know the answer. Alexander the Great, the boy conqueror, the king, the legend. His story reminds us that even the most ambitious dreams can be achieved, but also warns us of the price of unchecked ambition. What do you think? Was Alexander a hero or a villain? Let us know in the comments below.